Hello guys, tell me please, can you imagine the Chancellor of Germany showing up for an important event in the United States wearing a t-shirt with the emblem of the Third Reich? Sure not, because this is not just inappropriate, that would be pure evil. But why, when the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Lavrov, arrives to Alaska for the super important, as Donald Trump described them, talks, he shows up wearing a sweater with USSR on it? First of all, this is evil, because both the Soviet and the Nazi regime are responsible for the deaths of millions of innocent people, and that is the truth. The Nazi regime lasted 12 years. The Soviet survived for 70. And I can speak a lot about their crimes, but today I want to focus on a number of very big mistakes that were recently made by the White House, by some European leaders in their desire to end the war. But it seems to me that literally every Ukrainian understands classical Russian imperial mindset way better than even the most experienced American diplomats. And that is why the moves that you consider to be diplomatic or polite are actually a space for Russia to keep humiliating us. And today I want to discuss with you this demonstration of disrespect to the rotting West, as Putin keeps naming us, because I also include Ukraine to this Western civilization group, and why it's important to read them, to understand them. Actually, here in Ukraine, we rate Putin's diplomatic victories since Trump is in the office, giving, like the bronze medal, the silver medal. I wonder if you can guess what the gold could be. So let's discuss this Alaska meeting, but from the perspective of the Russian delegation, what they wanted to achieve and what they managed to achieve during this really short visit. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and to support our country, to demonstrate your solidarity, join the channel, join our beautiful community, and of course, share these videos. So, to tell you the truth, it was really difficult to watch how Donald Trump greeted the bloodiest war criminal of the 21st century with the red carpet rolled by the US soldiers wearing a uniform. A lot of good people kept saying me that is a gesture of respect. I have a counter question. Why should you demonstrate that much respect to a wanted international criminal, a person responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people and violation of the international law? And also murdering lots of journalists, his oppositioners inside Russia, and simply keeping power for almost 3 decades. He's not a good guy, he's not a neutral guy, he is an evil person and everybody knows that. So the problem is that many believed Alaska meeting would be a way to discuss a ceasefire, but what we got was actually a very pompous, if it's a good word, extremely luxurious ceremonial meeting. And to tell you the truth, the very first Putin's victory against the democratic world was when Trump broke his isolation. When Trump started calling him 6, 7 calls without any results, and the number of Russian attacks on Ukraine doubled or tripled since Donald Trump is in office. So Putin does not show him respect. Then these phone calls broke the isolation, and somehow the President of the United States keeps describing it as a great achievement, when in reality it's just nobody wanted to speak with Putin, because at a certain moment of time you stop talking to a person that keeps committing war crimes constantly. And the best way to speak with him is to send more flamingos, drones to legitimate military targets. The second, the silver medal of Putin's diplomacy, was his visit to the United States, to the country that is associated with freedom, with the protection of freedoms, and Putin was welcomed, red carpet. He drew in a limo, 1-to-1 with Donald Trump. Wonder why soldiers wearing the uniform rolling that blood-soaked carpet for him. It looked quite disgusting. Once again, if there are some diplomatic rules, if there are some things you have to take, that's one thing. Even though I wish to see how people catch him, and that soldiers in that uniform actually put handcuffs on Putin and his face into that red carpet. Didn't happen. But okay, if you meet him, if you have to follow some rules of politics and diplomacy, even though he's a war criminal and there should be no politics and no diplomacy towards him, but you don't have to be that hospitable. You don't have to be that kind. You don't have to applaud. And you don't have to put him on your limo. Then no press conference, no uncomfortable conversations, as every leader goes through in Trump's office. That is already a tradition. Many fear, many laugh at, but no such uncomfortable things for Putin. Why? It's so visible. It is really easy to read. Putin came like a master. He did not answer any questions from the journalists. There were no people asking him about the sweater of Lavrov. They asked President Zelenskyy, a leader of a country at war that demonstrated tremendous bravery, they asked him about a suit. And nobody of that B-stan journalists asked Lavrov about the sweater. Why are you wearing a sweater of the USSR? And when I keep telling you that the Kremlin wants to recreate the USSR, a lot of good people in comments keep telling me, no, that's impossible. They cannot pursue such a dream. They do. They write it on a sweatshirt. And still, when a Ukrainian European leader makes a tiny whiny mistake, a person can be literally cancelled, or a person can be persecuted, mocked, like Zelenskyy without a suit. And when the leader, one of the leaders of the bloody Russian Federation, responsible for wars in Chechnya, in Moldova, in Georgia, in Ukraine, in Syria, in many other countries in a hybrid way, shows up wearing actually a forbidden in many countries that suffered from a communist regime sweater, nobody is even asking him. Everybody allows Russia to do whatever it wants. That is super wrong, and that is a very bright demonstration of weakness. So after these two victories, the telephone calls and this end of Putin's diplomatic isolation, then his visit to the United States after Bucha, after Irpin. I'm not going to describe how it feels here in Ukraine. The golden medal he will receive if Trump travels to Moscow. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think it is possible, under any conditions, that Trump will travel to Moscow to hug Putin there on another bloody carpet? Let me know, what do you think? Is it likely? But apart from these very visible things during the meeting, I have to tell you that there are other steps that we can see, and they are intentional, and they keep mocking the White House because it's pretty unprofessional at the moment. Let's be clear, like Hexet, like Witkoff, come on. Hexet shares secret information on Signal with his wife and family. Witkoff is not a diplomat. He knows nothing about diplomacy, but what is worse, he knows nothing about Ukraine. He doesn't know the size, the names of the region he's negotiating about. That's a disgrace. When I look at that, and he cannot, he says, but people who live in that regions are Russian because they speak Russian. Are you English because you speak English? A lot of soldiers are Russian speaking, and they fight like super fierce against Russia. And they try to switch to Ukrainian because for them now Russian is the language of torture, is the language of invaders. But they were Russified. Same as in Latvia and Estonia. Speaking the language does not make you belong to that nationality. Are all Australians English? Are all Americans English? Do you see the difference between a Canadian and South African? So, do not apply these logics. Do not let Witkoff's incompetence lead your decisions. And I ask you to share these videos because the world is so ignorant. People do not want to know the truth, and unfortunately there are not enough people from Ukraine, from the Baltics, speaking English to the global audience. And I'm so honored that we have our community and that you actually work as our ambassadors. Remember, we still have -15 to celebrate independence in our merch shop, the link in that description. And you can choose t-shirts and sweatshirts that help us remind people about the fight, about Ukraine and the need to defeat the Kremlin. And this way you actually become our ambassadors, and that's the great honor. But I have always hated when people who know something different, they are not smarter than you, but they have some experience you don't. And they start mocking you, they start bullying you, and you don't even guess it's happening because you lack the knowledge. It's an extremely disgusting tactic that the Kremlin uses very often against you because you don't speak Russian, you don't watch their TV, you don't know the history to that extent. And I understand you. Russian history is all very dark. So, for example, when Witkoff returned back to the United States with a medal that he gave to the deputy of a CIA whose son was fighting on the Russian side and was neutralized because, well, it happens to Russian soldiers all the time. First of all, just think about that. A son of a CIA deputy fights on the side of war criminals, of Russian invaders. I won't judge. It's difficult, but I won't comment on that. But what Putin does, he gives that extremely illiterate I don't know, I need a very long list of synonyms, but extremely primitive Witkoff a medal to pass to the head of the CIA. Imagine something similar happening like 20, 30, 50 years. I think like the whole White House would just start bombing Moscow. And what they do, they don't give him a real medal. It's not a real medal. It's a medal with Lenin, just like USSR on Lavrov's sweater. And this is the most like widespread medal ever. I guess like my grandfather had it, like literally in every household who keeps Soviet crap, you will find one. And what a normal American would do in times of like strong presidents, spit on that medal because it's Lenin. It's just like disgusting, bloody criminal. Another one that, oh my God. And they carry this medal that is nothing in Russia. It's not even an official Russian medal now. It's old Soviet crap. And Witkoff carries that. And American media speaks about that. And so many people say, it's the demonstration of respect. Anna, you have to understand, it's diplomacy. No, it's Putin laughing at you. And I can only imagine how they laugh sitting in one of the bunkers, maybe with all of his doubles, that a CIA agent of the United States, or head is now deputy, is now broken, and the whole system is broken, and they are happily wearing medals with Lenin. Something that was totally impossible in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Oh my God. Same as that USSR sweater for talks that are supposed to stop the killings. When the Minister of Foreign Affairs shouts with his sweater that we are here to recreate the USSR. It won't happen because we are strong, because all the same countries that managed to build at least some kind of democracy never want to go back to the orbit of Russia, because Kremlin simply sucks everything of its republics, destroys their culture, language, their independence, their freedom, their dignity. Nobody wants back, and now we are way stronger than we were in the times under this suppression. But people, he is mocking you. Please understand that that is not diplomacy. That is not the demonstration of respect. Then, after these talks on Alaska, my city was attacked. And you know, it's semi-safe, and I keep talking about that. It's 80 kilometers to the European Union. Then a Russian drone fell 100 kilometers from Warsaw. An important reminder, Warsaw is a NATO country, so Shahed drone traveled deep inside Poland, unstoppable. Congratulations to your air defense. And you describe it as a provocation, but not as an escalation. Why? If you, for example, helped Ukraine shoot Russian missiles in the Ukrainian skies, not even crossing to Russia, but in the Ukrainian skies, it is an escalation, saving innocent lives. But the Russian Shahed drones falling on deep in your territory is a provocation. I need your help because I don't understand. And so also American business was targeted in Zakarpattia. It's really difficult to get there. So what we have after these talks, after just a long list of Putin mocking the West, escalation, attacks on Ukraine, destruction of American business. That's why no deal, mineral deal, American businesses. This does not protect about the desire of the Kremlin to recreate USSR. They will appropriate your businesses. Your mines, anything won't help. Only strong militarized Ukraine and defeated Russia may help the good old free world survive. But no, like no ceasefire, no sanctions, no restrictions. They say they stopped sharing intelligence with Ukraine again, maybe Gabbard, who I'm sure is working for the Kremlin. So all of this exposes a tremendous weakness of the White House, because I am convinced that America is still a strong, good country. It's just a very bad period, unfortunately, in a very bad moment of history. But we need to remain united, and that's why I continuously invite you to join the community of the channel, because we are more than speakers and viewers. We are friends. We are people who want to know more, who are not afraid to see the truth, and who understand that this is a big war for our freedom. And our freedom means Ukrainian, French, English, American, Australian. And thank you for understanding that. Thank you for sharing, comments, likes. It all helps us grow and become stronger. And that's exactly what we need, because you all know the only working peace plan is to defeat and demilitarize Russia. And don't let them mock you. It's not diplomacy. It's not respect. It's Russia using the unprofessionalism and ignorance of the White House. Subscribe, follow me on social media, check the merch shop, all the links that you need in the description of this video. Thank you so much when you choose to become a sponsor or patron of the channel, when you buy me coffees. This helps to feel more and to tell you more important things about Ukraine, Eastern Europe and the world. And you know I love you. Slava Ukraini!